Let's take over the world. Seriously, I've got a plan to do it. I've been putting this plan together. It's been being pieced together for several years. And it would work. And I know this sounds like kind of nefarious, like something a supervillain would say, let's take over the world. But I really mean, let's create a paradigm shift, a new kind of organization. And this would be for everyone. This would benefit everybody. And the core algorithm, the core idea behind this world takeover is very simple. But it takes some explaining, and it takes a kind of shift of the Overton window and seeing the world in a new way, and seeing social structures and economic structures in a new way. It's a lot like my optimum theory of everything, the first simulation of the four forces of physics from one equation, which if you go back through my videos, you'll see that. I used to post about that several years ago, quite frequently, which is the first simulation of the four forces of physics from one equation. And the equation is actually very simple. And it's incredibly simple. It's energy matter divided by space. And it's so simple, it's simulatable. I simulated it in MS Excel, Microsoft Excel. And yet, as simple as it is, there's very few people who understand why it works. Because the shift in consciousness it requires to understand why what you're seeing actually works requires, you really have to change how you think. And this is very similar. This world takeover idea is very similar. It's a very simple algorithm that would be world takeover. And even as the gears turn, people will not really understand. It's for whatever reason. I don't understand why people don't understand my simulation. You can see it with your own eyes. You can see the four forces of physics being simulated in freaking Microsoft Excel, because at that time I didn't know how to program. All I knew was Excel. And they can see it with their own eyes, and I can explain this simple equation, but they don't understand. So the first thing you have to understand is emergent complexity. Okay? The physics simulation, it works through emergent complexity. That these complex phenomenon are coming from a very simple equation. Very few people even understand the concept of emergent complexity. Okay? And this world takeover idea is similar in that it's a very simple equation that results in infinitely complex emergent complexity. Okay? Infinitely complex social phenomenon would branch off this simple equation. And it's not enough just to take over the world. It's not enough just to do something new. It has to be better. The system would be better. And it's also kind of like Bitcoin. You know, Bitcoin is a simple concept. But even as it continues to go up in value, and of course, I don't need to go into it, but let's just say I knew about, let's just say I understood Bitcoin back in 2012, 2013 is when I first started understanding Bitcoin. Let's just say that, okay? I don't need to go into detail. But it's similar to Bitcoin, whereas even as Bitcoin continues to go up to 100,000, I knew it would. In fact, I made posts on my private Facebook, which I could show to people who are genuinely sincere and safe people. I can show you my private time-stamped Facebook posts where I talk about how it's going to go up to 100K, back when it was just like $100, right? So, yeah. But similarly to this, people can see Bitcoin's going up to 100K. They still don't get it. They still don't understand. Like, they can see it with their own eyes. They still don't get it. So this world takeover idea is kind of like that, where it's like, even if it worked, and someone could make it work. I'm not saying it would be me, I am the one proposing this idea. So, but as I explain it more, you'll see it's not really about me. This idea is not about me. It's a decentralized concept, okay? Where someone could make it work, and even as it's taking over the world, there will be people who don't get it. They just don't, and yet the idea is so simple. It's so simple. This world takeover idea, it solves so many problems. And it's really a new kind of socio-economic system. I'm going to be kind of rambling. There's no script here. The idea is fully formed in my mind, but as far as how to present it to the public, I don't really have that polished yet. So I'm just kind of talking. I'm just kind of rambling, okay? So I don't even, where do I start? Okay. I was a supporter of Andrew Yang, Universal Basic Income. He retweeted me. I made a really cringe music video in favor of UBI that he retweeted. It got like 50,000 views. It was the first thing I ever did in public that went viral. Now my unified physics simulation went viral, but I was mostly anonymous when it went viral. It was through kind of anonymous forums and stuff. So the first time I ever publicly went viral, it was this Andrew Yang music video. And UBI, if you get it, you get it, which is that UBI is a more efficient system. People seem to think it's about giving away free money. My life's fine. Like I don't, my life is fine. So when people think that like, oh, Gary just wanted free money, that wasn't it. It wasn't that Gary just wanted free money. It was because I saw in UBI a more efficient system. Capitalism, as we think of it, a lot of people seem to think it's some kind of universal law of efficiency, but that's not really true. It does tend towards efficiency, but there are many things that it does not consider efficient, which are vital. For example, raising kids, pregnancy. These are viewed as inefficiencies in capitalism. So there's this big debate going on. Why are capitalist societies, why does the birth rate collapse? And I'll tell you why. You don't have to debate it because I'll tell you why. And of course, you can debate me. It's fine. you don't have to agree with anything I say. But I'll give you the answer. And when you understand it, there'll be no more mystery to it, which is that capitalist systems do not value childbirth. They don't value children. Children are viewed as inefficiencies in a capitalist system, even while children are required to perpetuate the capitalist system. Do you understand what I'm saying? So they get priced out. Raising children gets priced out of the system. As the capitalist system becomes more efficient, where now you need two people to work full time to afford a house, well then who's going to have a kid and raise a kid, right? Meanwhile, raising a kid and giving birth and stuff like that, this is the most valuable thing someone can do for our civilization, yet it has no value through the eyes of capitalism. And this, my friends, is why the birth rate collapses in capitalist societies. You don't have to debate it anymore. That's the answer. So UBI solved that problem. It said, okay, we give everyone a value, which I understand is kind of a strange concept, like that we put a value on human life. Yet our American way says that everyone are created equal. And currently we're created with a value of 0. So we're created equally worthless, right? So at least UBI said, well, okay, well, let's at least give human value a value of $1,000 a month. That was Andrew Yang's idea, right? When I walk around cities like I live around Seattle, and I see the homeless go up and up every single year, it's no longer even safe to walk around Seattle. It's not safe. And from what I hear, it's like that in most cities these days. That it's kind of like it feels like a zombie apocalypse. I know that's horrible. Homeless people are humans. They're real people like us. they have mothers, fathers, family. It's heartbreaking. But it's like a zombie apocalypse. And people would say, this is efficiency. No, it's not. Capitalism does not put a value on human life. Okay? So in UBI, I saw a way to end poverty. I saw a way to value things that capitalism does not consider valuable, like raising children, like homeschooling, like education that exists outside traditional paradigms. And so I was a big supporter of UBI. Now, UBI in part inspired this new concept that I'll be talking about, this optimum vision. And in a way, this optimum vision is a way to create UBI from the ground up. But it's more than just UBI. What this idea is more than UBI. But it's in that similar kind of vein, where we can wait around for politicians to give us UBI, or we can create it ourselves. Okay? So this idea, it solves the UBI problem, and it does a whole lot more. And the basic idea is this, that 10% or whatever the number can be, the number is up for debate. 10%, 20%, 1%, 5%, 50%, 100%, probably not 100%. No, not 100%. And I'll explain why, but that a percentage of the gains of a civilization are equally distributed to every adult within that civilization. Okay, so if you look at the GDP of the United States, for example, and if you were to give 10% of the GDP to every American adult, the baseline would be around $50,000 per year. So if you were to equally distribute 10% of GDP to every American adult, it would be something, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but it's somewhere like, it's a lot. It's like $50K per year that every American would get. And I think it's probably related that is how much you need to really just live. So I feel like that's probably hard-coded into that. That's how much you need just to live. And if we took 10% of GDP and just gave it to every American directly, it would be about how much you need to live. Like that is how much you need to play the game. It's interesting to me that Monopoly is this board game that was originally created as a critique of capitalism. And yet even Monopoly understands that you need money to play the game. Yet our capitalist system doesn't understand that concept. Where we've got people who, they're not even given the tool to play the game itself. And this is why you see homelessness go up and up and up, along with automation and robotics and AI, which will just get more and more advanced. So then the question is, okay, so how do we take 10% of all the gains of a civilization and just give it directly back to everyone within that civilization? Because Gary, didn't you say that this is a way to do it from the ground up? And what you're describing is something like a top-down, where we got to get the politicians to vote on this and give it to us. Here's where the really revolutionary concept comes in, okay? This is how we can do it ourselves. And so Optimum College is, I promise you, once the idea solidifies in your mind, it's very simple. But this takes several Overton window shifts. It takes several paradigm shifts of understanding to get to where I'm going here. What Optimum College is it's a project-based, lifelong learning institute. It's not a college as you might typically think of one. It's more like a community of colleagues. So when you hear of like the College of Cardinals at the Vatican, it's not a college as you typically think of it. Or if you think of the Electoral College in the US government, it's not a college as you typically think of it. The word college predates the academic sense of the word. The word college simply means a group of colleagues with a common objective. So Optimum College is a college in that sense, and yet it is also an academic institute. And the idea is this. It's also like a cooperative. You pay to be a member at Optimum College. It's currently $150 a month. So what do you get with that? $50 of that goes back into the operation of Optimum College and that goes up to like a fixed amount. So we don't need infinite money to run Optimum College, whether it's like 100,000 or 200,000 or whatever it is to actually run Optimum College. Currently, I run Optimum College for free. I do it with zero budget, and yet on zero budget, I was able to simulate the four forces of physics from one equation, which pretty much everyone thought was impossible, but I did it in MS Excel. I also am the developer of Optimum VR, which is on the MetaQuest 3 store, which is the first VR fighting game. And it's really good. And I programmed that myself independently after I learned how to program. And I did that indie, and people thought that was impossible. Like just one person could make a AAA level video game. I did it. So the point is that I've already gotten a lot done on zero budget. Imagine what I could do with just like 100K. All this has been, by the way, in part-time. Like Optimum is not my full-time job. So part-time on zero budget, I've achieved the impossible. Imagine what I could do with a budget of $100,000. I would achieve things, I promise you, I would achieve things that are beyond comprehension. Like really, really. I could give some examples of things I could do with 100K a year, but I could save that for later. The point is that Optimum does need a kind of budget. So 67%, 65%, I understand there's some aversion to the number 66, but that would be, 66.66 would be 2/3 of, but if it's $150 a month, then 2/3 is $100, right? So what do we do with the other $100? So let me recap really quick. Membership at Optimum College is $150 currently. 50 of that goes into the operation of Optimum College up to a certain amount, after which 100%, virtually 100%, would be going back into this pool. So some of the money of the membership goes into the operation of Optimum College. And then the rest of it goes into this pool of money. So what do we do with this pool of money? We give it to one member every month. Okay, so if we've got 300 members, that's $30,000 a month we would be giving out to one member. So how do we choose this member? We choose it through a vote. So at Optimum College, we discuss ideas. Here's an idea for a new restaurant. Here's an idea for a new app. And it could be anything. Here's an idea for a new this, a new that, a new gadget, a new gizmo, a new theoretical theory, a new project, a new science experiment. And then we vote every month as members on who gets that prize pool, that Optimum. It's not really a prize pool. It's like an Optimum fund. It's like the Y Combinator, right? If you know what Y Combinator is. They take that money. They are given that money to achieve the objective that we voted on. Then 10% of any gains from that project is given back to the membership. And I would lead by example. So I've got this video game. I've also got a this company called Optimum Sports Fitness, Fit Sports, Optimum Sports Fitness, which sells sports equipment that I manufacture, like Ring Pong, which is like a potentially billion-dollar company. I mean, Spike Ball is almost a billion-dollar company, and this game's better. So, and then 10% of that is given back to the membership. 10% of the video game given back to the membership. The idea is that the more members we get at Optimum College, the bigger the funding pool. And then with that funding, we slowly, over time, over years, decades, centuries, millennia. Okay, I'm thinking very long term here. I want Optimum to outlive me. Over time, we take over all industry. Okay? And 10% is given back to the membership. So as we take over the world, we are also instituting UBI amongst our membership. Make sense? Now, why will this idea take over the world? This is really something that it's a decentralized, ground-up approach to an organization. Unlike any organization I've ever heard of. This is unlike religion. It's unlike philosophy. It's unlike any socioeconomic system or company I know of. It is a democratic way to organize society. It's a new renaissance of democracy and capitalism. We vote individually on what gets made. We decide. Every month we fund a new project. Every month we fund a new company. Every month we kickstart something. And then as that project grows, we as a membership get 10%. Got it? This would build community. It would align us with each other. This idea is so much deeper than it might seem. The more you think about it, the deeper it gets. Our current capitalist system, it's zero sum. You can't share ideas because you're afraid someone's going to steal your idea. It creates this environment of secrecy, of fear, of winner take all, of dog eat dog. I'm envisioning a new world where there's none of that. We share ideas openly. There's healthy competition, but if your competitor beats you, you still get 10%. Your fraction of 10% of whatever your competitor does. It aligns us together. We become like a magnet. We all align. We then attract. Does that make sense? It's a new system. I call it Optimum. It could take over the world. How exciting. Can you imagine just getting together with people, sharing ideas, thinking about how to make the world better? And we would be sharpening each other. Steel sharpens steel. You get a bunch of people together. Every month we're talking about ideas. We're sharpening each other's ideas. And then we vote. We vote on a person to carry out the will of the collective. And we all gain. How exciting. Really, really. I know I said it like, how exciting. No, seriously, think about it. How exciting. How exciting. It really would. It would be awesome. Let me know what you think. Bye.